Welcome to the Transformer Unicorn Tales. I'm Katie, your ever-transforming host. This is a podcast about awesome transformations, food, for thought, and occasionally unicorns. I am so excited that you're here listening to this. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the last episode of this year, and today is a special one, and if you're watching it then you can see my Christmas tree on one side and my cute little weird Christmas village on the other. And if you're not watching it, then maybe just hop on YouTube for a second to check out those things, because my Christmas tree also includes I'm so bad at like pointing at stuff, a princess cat that is like a winter princess cat. And it's just like the best thing ever. Anyways, we are here to just summarize 2023 and to look forward to 2024. And I think I've said this before, like some episodes I kind of record for myself, but then I get like a lot of feedback like, oh, this is so valuable. It's so good that someone finally says these things. It's really good to like listen to that, because sometimes I hear your voice in my head. So it's one of those episodes where it's kind of for me, but apparently also for you. So that makes me really happy. And there's also an invitation to, even if you don't have a whole podcast, to maybe record something like this for yourself as well, so that you can listen back to it when you're in 2024 and thinking like, what am I doing? What's happening? So that's what this episode is. We're just going to look back and we're going to look forward. And I didn't really write an outline for this one, because I just want to make it like how it comes out. I do want to say that I did, today's the 11th, yesterday was the 10th, and I did the end of year meditation with a really dear friend of mine. She does that every year, so it's like such a great moment to just like, look back on the past year and do it like year and year again. So I decided to record this episode like right after the meditation, so that the things are like nice and fresh in my mind, and also so that you can maybe go through these things for yourself as well. So the highlights of this year have been me trying to start a new life in a different country. And it was exciting, it was tiring, it was frustrating, it was all of the things. And I felt really proud of myself for just putting myself out there and trying. So maybe think of things that you were really proud of, even though it might not have worked out as you expected, because then in the middle of the year, I kind of had to abandon that plan and I moved back to the Netherlands again. But here I am now in my beautiful little cottage. It's not a cottage. In my beautiful little house in the woods. And it's lovely. And again, it's also frustrating and annoying and just amazing and all of the things. Like, just like the other thing was. So that's what I noticed like this year, looking back, is there are always like good things about things and not so good things about things, and it's just how you go through them and how you navigate it in a way that is good for you. So what I was also really proud of this year is, again, it was heartbreaking. It was terrible to move back to the Netherlands, to just give up on my plans, to just feel like a failure for, moving back and not like following my dreams in a foreign country, like big adventures and stuff like that. But the moment I made the decision, it felt like so deeply the right thing to do. And that's like one thing that I want to take into the new year, that feeling, that exact feeling when I know that even though it's hard, even though it's freaking hard, I'm making the right choice. And that feeling I want to take with me. So, again, another invitation to maybe look at things that you want to take with you into the new year. Maybe specific feelings or specific, I wouldn't say situations, but like situations that like led to feelings that you're like, okay, that's like there's something there. In previous years, I also had that like I keep like collecting these things so I can take them like throughout the years with me. Another one was I was in this beautiful hotel and I had like no worries in the world. That was like in the middle of the pandemic, like being in a hotel. Yeah, that was like already like adventurous, but also scary, but also like I have to do this for myself right now. And I was just sitting in that room looking out over the city, and I thought I made the right choice for myself. Even though it was hard, even though it was weird, even though it was like really, really hard in that moment to do, right? If you can just think back a few years, it was like really hard to just go somewhere, to like be in a hotel. And also because other people would be like, what are you doing? Like, you should be staying at home. Like, why are you going on vacation right now? And still, it felt like the really good choice for me. And again, I'm really happy that I had that feeling again this year. So we're taking that with us. Um, and other things, of course, I started Yogi Help. I'm still not sure how to like combine the names of all of my thingies, but me helping other yoga teachers started out as Yogi Help, and then it transformed into Transform a Unicorn, which was already my company. I just didn't know how to like mix them together, so I'm just gonna keep calling it Yogi Help because it makes more sense. And I finished my yoga teacher training, the 300-hour one, and blah blah. So many cool things. Yeah, I'm not going to name all of them because it's like not that interesting. I just wanted to name like the things that I think might be also beneficial for you and the things that I would like to maybe also listen back on. Um, and yeah, and then I want to move on to next year. So we were also focusing on, looking back on this year. What are the things that you want to take with you? What are the things that you want to leave behind? And maybe there's an intention coming from all of those things. Maybe a sentence or a few words or a whole paragraph, or you write a whole book. I don't know. You write your plans really nice and like like detailed for the next year. And what came up for me like right away is, I'm just gonna be very, very honest here right now. There were moments last year where I wasn't sure if I was doing the things because I wanted them or because the world kind of expects us to go that way, or because that's what we see on social media. And I'm saying this because I think many people might recognize this. Like, if you start looking at yoga videos, you will somehow end up in that world where you just see all the teachers teaching on the beach, beautiful backdrops, and it just leads to this feeling like, maybe I should be doing that too, right? Because isn't that the dream? But is that my dream? And that's where like the questions come in. Because I was also thinking back to that moment where I was teaching yoga on the beach, and it was amazing. It was like really fucking cool, it was just really cool. But then I thought, now that I live in the woods, I go for walks in the woods, and that feels way more meditative, way more calming, way more me to me. And I thought, okay, so maybe the beach is like, that social expectation thing, and maybe the woods is more what I like, and that's okay. But there I was on the beach, right? So I'm like, come on, to the woods we go. And there are just like so many other of those things, like moving to the camping. I see people looking, I know people saying things sometimes like, oh, it must be so hard for you, being a yoga teacher. It probably doesn't earn good enough. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are you saying? Okay. That you have to live in a camping. And I'm like, no, it's a choice. Like I live here because I choose to live here. I could live in an apartment in a busy city, but that's not me. So there are like just these like social setups and cultural things that are kind of expected of people to be done in a certain way. Like you should be living in an apartment or in a house or something like that, not in a camping. And yeah, just how sometimes I caught myself following the things that I still felt like I was supposed to do instead of what I wanted to do, maybe deep down. Um, there were also moments where I let myself down in that sense by choosing other people's priorities over mine. Yeah, and so what came up for me, because that's where I was going with this, for next year is being proud and being content. And what it means to me, so I'm going to explain, like it's all in my head now. So let me just tell you. I wrote like a little card where I wrote on, am I proud and content right now? And that's like a reminder for myself of, am I doing the things that I want to be doing? Because that makes me feel proud of myself. Like teaching on the beach was something that I'm proud of because I went out there, I did the class, it was super cool to do. But then there's that contentment where it's like, yes, this is cool, but deep down it doesn't feel like the exact right thing. So if I dig really deep, that's not really what I want. And on the other side of that, now that I live in the woods, there is the content feeling, but as soon as I open social media and I see beautiful people on the beaches and not this background, if you were watching for that podcast, but some beautiful studio setup, whatever, there's that sense of like, I should do better, I should do more, maybe I should edit these videos fancier, so I have like those sound effects and stuff like that, and like whoosh whoosh, here you go, sound effects. Whoosh whoosh, there we go, they cover the sound effects now too. But where I'm going with this, like those things make me feel like I shouldn't be content with what I have, even though it's what I want. So the proud side comes from within me. How can I make myself proud? By doing things, by changing things that I can control in a way that it fits me. And the contentment for me, at least now, is this mindset and this awareness of how the outside world is affecting how I think and feel and act on things. I hope that makes sense. But I think it makes sense, right? So if I'm feeling like something isn't right, then I hope I can look at my card and go, am I proud and content right now? And then remind myself, okay, am I acting in a way that feels good for me? And am I acting in a way that is coming from my own desires, feeling, thoughts, instead of whatever, social media and all the other things are like whispering in my head? Yeah, and I wrote that down and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to focus on more next year. And I do want to point out, because I know people who have been following me for a longer time or know me listening to this might be like, but Katie, you're like doing it. You're already doing that. Like, I'm proud of you and like you're super cool already. Yes, I know, but I want to bring more awareness to these things because, and I'm not saying because it feels like I'm not enough or because I should be doing more, but because I feel deep down that to be proud and to be content, I can make little changes in the way that I act or think or feel about things to just be more happy, so that I can be really proud of the things that I do and I can be really content with the things that I have. Yeah, so like it comes down to the thoughts that I have inside myself that I might not be sharing all the time so openly, or what goes on behind the scenes, right? Because I don't know, sometimes when I go for a walk and I share about it, people are like, this is so cool, you go on adventures all the time. And I'm like, no, this is the first time that I went outside of my house in a month. You know, I just know how to tell a story really well. And then, you know, like deep down, I'm like, I'm not content and I'm not proud because I really wanted to do this more. I just didn't. So yeah, those kind of stuff. And maybe for someone this resonates like a lot. And if it does, when I wrote down those things, I felt a little bit like a lot. And it's okay. Yeah, but that's what I'm looking forward to next year, to just be more proud and be more content and just bring more awareness to these things. So it doesn't come from that way of I'm not good enough, I have to do better, but it comes from that way of how can I be more proud and how can I be more content with what I have. So I think like they also balance each other out. I like that. Yeah, and I think that's the end of this episode because we look back, we look forward. Invitation to do this for yourself. Invitation to maybe also record it in some form. So I do the podcast, but I also journaled about all of these things so that I can look back on this because it's really cool. Like now I can look back on last year's things and it's just really cool to like, you know, see the progressions, the recurring themes and stuff like that. So invitation to do it as well. And maybe if you want, because I know some people do, invitation to also share some things about that because I love to hear. And I think it's also good for accountability. So now anyone listening to this, you know, like in 6 months, you can be like, Katie, are you proud and content? And I would love that. I could be like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. But we won't, okay? Yeah. And so as you all know, by the time this episode releases, it's the end of the year actually. So I'm recording this on the 11th of December because I'm almost going on vacation, but you will listen to this at the end of the year and I will be already on vacation. So I've said this before and I like put it out on social media as well. I might react a little bit slower to things, but please send me your reactions, your thoughts, because I really appreciate those. And I wish you an awesome and magical 2024. And I send you big hugs. And I think you're awesome.